Hi, my name is Rebecca Caudill. I am from Porter Elementary in Johnson County, and the title of my grant is Imagineering. To John Dewey, the educational experience is subject to constant change. One of his famous educational quotes include, "If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow." Therefore, educators must keep up with the many different learning needs of our students. I am fortunate to be in a school district that believes education is constantly changing. In 2019, I became one of the first STEAM educators for my evolving district. Fast forward to the school year 2021, and R has now been embedded as an additional focus area. So my STREAM classroom has an established studio for each subject area. We have science, technology, reading, engineering, the arts, and mathematics. So even though each discipline has its own designated space, my ultimate goal is to provide an interdisciplinary environment for my students. Educators have been challenged to reimagine the learning experience for students. At any moment, a teacher may have to switch from in-person learning to remote learning. When teachers create blended learning lessons in the classroom, technology is already embedded in the instruction. Therefore, in the case educators are forced to deliver engaging learning experiences remote style, the technology aspect of the lesson is already there, and the in-person learning to remote learning transition becomes smoother and engagement is rarely lost. So my problem of practice is loss of engaging and hands-on experiences for students while transitioning in and out of the classroom due to lack of embedded technology, as well as limited in-class and take-home building resources. Reimagining engineering in and out of the classroom is my goal. I chose my engineering studio. So my research question is, if schools continue in-person learning for the remainder of the school year, will increased blended learning instruction and additional building materials boost student engagement? If the need arises for remote learning, will increased blended learning in the classroom and supplemental take-home resources preserve engagement and make for an easier transition for students? Thankfully, we have remained in person up to this point. So as I said, engineering is my studio of choice. It is my focus. I would like to bring in other subject areas as well as additional technology into engineering. In-class materials that could also serve as take-home resources would be beneficial in the event that remote learning is essential. Students were presented with various engineering challenges. They developed rubrics for all activities on elements of the engineering process. The engineering process includes ask, what is the goal? Imagine, brainstorm ideas, choose the best one. Plan, draw a blueprint and list your materials as needed. Create, build a product. Of course, this is my students' favorite part of the engineering design process. And finally, improve, figure out what worked and what didn't, and then modify the design. If time allows, we usually try it again. Some of the items that I added because we received the money from the grant are the flexible straws, creative flakes, the STEM Master building toys, Starflex puzzle building blocks, Picasso tiles, magnetic building sticks and blocks, and of course, Ziploc baggies to store and send the items home with students. So I'm going to go ahead and compare my results. So first I'll show you the pre-survey, and then I'll show you my post-survey. So looking here, in the beginning, students listed the engineering studio as their second favorite studio. The arts came in first at 39%, with engineering following at 25%. The post survey shows that engineering and the arts have now tied for the favorite studio of the year. At almost 29% each, engineering almost surpassed the arts. So it did increase. It's not second anymore. It's tied for first. Next, I asked my students how they felt when teachers included technology into instruction. 65.5% of students said that technology makes learning more meaningful. In the post survey, 70.6% of students said that they enjoy when teachers include technology into instruction, that it makes learning more meaningful. So that also came up as well. So there is proof that embedded technology makes a difference. In my pre-survey, I asked students if STREAM class would be as exciting without technology. 80% said no. I also asked them if they felt engaged in their engineering studio. And thankfully, around 96% said that yes, they do. The post survey showed that 94% of students said that there were enough opportunities to use technology in the STREAM lab this school year. So that was exciting. And then it also showed exactly 96% still feel fully engaged in the engineering studio this year. That didn't increase, but it did not decrease either. So 96% I think is good overall for feeling fully engaged in the engineering studio. Okay, the pre-survey, students stated that they are more engaged in the engineering studio when they have a variety of materials to build with. 96% of students said that they are more engaged with extra additional materials. The post survey says 100% of students said that yes, the engineering studio was a lot more exciting when the new building materials were added this year. Post survey also shows that if students had building materials to take home for NTI days, they would be more excited about completing the engineering challenges. 90% against 9%. So that's exciting to know as well. So here it shows when we packaged up some of these new materials and sent them home with students, just in case we were to have some NTI days, which we did. And they had a challenge where they had to come up with an invention that they think would make them lots of money. And I assigned a Flipgrid through Google Classroom so that they could report on it. I noticed that more students completed the task, the invention, and uploaded a picture than completing the Flipgrid, which I also did give the option. They could either upload a picture or they could complete the Flipgrid, but more of the students chose just to upload a picture instead of completing the Flipgrid. I did have this video to show.
Hello, I'm Greg Cochran, and this is my robotic flower pot. See, it's like a spy pot. But this is useful because you can use it to like spy on like your favorite restaurant or something. So you're like, oh, here's a flower pot, and they could and you could put it somewhere. You could like use it to look around and find out their secret recipes. So you could cook it for yourself, start your own restaurant, and it functions by you can move this thing with a remote control and it angles, and you can look around. That's a little camera. If I were to do this again, I would put like legs on it so it could like crawl around. It's like
So his expression on his face did show that, he had some fun creating his invention, his flower pot, to spy on restaurants' recipes. And I love that you could see his smile was evident. Here's another student who created a really neat invention. And this was just videoed with an iPad.
My name is Brooklyn Ashley, and this is my automatic feeding birdhouse. So why I chose this invention is because I feel like birds work extra hard to get food for their families and stuff. And basically how it would work is, this is not really a good model of it, but it's what we have. So basically there's like a container, and someone will have to, like a human or something, not a bird obviously, but a human will have to fill up food, and it's enough to last for 2 days, and it'll pour into a little bowl, and that's how that works. Thank you.
Okay, so the flip grid worked better when it was assigned as an NTI assignment. We tried to have time during class to do the flip grid at the end, but you have to keep in mind that they completed their blueprint. They took the time to design and see if they could make it better. And then by the time we did all of that, time is limited. It was time for, my next class to come in. We normally did not have time to go into Google Classroom, go to the assignment, pull up the flip grid and complete that. But the video that we just recorded on the iPad, that worked much better due to our time constraints. Okay, so this is a challenge that I gave to my engineering studio, and they had to be a habitat engineer. We were studying change, life and change, and so we chose animals. Let's read over that. They had to choose their favorite animal habitat. Like here are some examples: a bunny, a barn owl, a dog. There were some other animals that some students chose. They reviewed the engineering design process and they completed their blueprint. Then they used the available building materials to collaborate with their team and build a habitat. They had to include food, water, shelter, and oxygen. And then they were prepared to explain their design when prompted. So here are some examples of blueprints and students working on the habitats with various building materials that we received from the grant. Here's another example. They had their oxygen, their food and water, their shelter. I love the smiles. I also embedded technology with this lesson. We did a predator-prey sort before our challenge. As you can see here, we put it on a Google slide. And then the challenge was, you may work with a group or in partners. You have one prey animal and two predator animals. Design and build a maze that would allow your prey to have 2 escape routes. Draw your blueprint on the exit slip or complete in Google Classroom. I did give them the option to complete the blueprint in Google Classroom as well, so that helps with embedded technology. Then they had to build their maze using the engineering materials, and they had to make a decision. Does their prey escape or does it become a meal? And they had to report on that. So here is an example of the blueprint. I created this on a Google slide, shared it to Google Classroom, and I also printed some as well. And here's some examples of students in the engineering studio using various materials to complete their maze. I have a video of these two explaining what they did.
So we chose the bison as our prey and the wolf and bear as our predators. This is our blueprint.
Hi everybody, so I'm going to explain you that first. So the way it works is that, so we have the wolf starting over here, the bison starting here. So as soon as the wolf comes running, the bison is going to jump through the hole. It's going to run through, it's going to run through here, but here's a gate, because right here, it was an escape route. But the wolf would already catch up to it. And in the panic of shock, the bison would probably terribly react and pass zigzagging, running away. It would run into our trap. Now it would get stuck here, and the wolf would close in and make our little buddy bison a meal.
And then we chose the bison to become a meal.
Okay, so it's apparent to me that they are really enjoying these challenges and the new materials. Here's another example of a maze using different materials. Here we have a younger student, a primary student, that worked with her team to complete the maze. Here's another maze using the magnets, the tile magnets. Another assignment that I gave to my kindergarten students using the flexible straws was to make letters, to practice their letters, and they had a big time with that. So that's another way that we were able to utilize these new building materials in the engineering studio. Now here we have some students who were given a week of free building. So I decided to make a week where students could have a free engineering day, meaning that they could take the new materials and just build whatever they wanted to, invent things, just kind of play around with them and see what they could come up with individually or as a team. Once the materials started coming in, they were so excited. And so I thought that it would be beneficial to just let them have a lot of hands-on free time. Here you see students who wanted to build a fort. This one was building a little robot. The students on the top were building cages to catch or trap an animal. Lots of fun here. These students were building an amusement park. There's lots of collaboration that goes on when you are building something together. If you do not work together, then it will not work and they will be disappointed. Their next challenge that they come up with, I allowed them to come up with their own challenge on another free stream day. And they decided they wanted to see who in the room could build the tallest tower. So this is what they're working on here, building the tallest tower. They are working hard. I love the excitement that I can observe. We have more towers. So in conclusion, technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. And that is a quote from George Couros. And I believe that. I think there are wonderful teachers out there and you can't replace them. But if they utilize technology and they embed it in their instruction, it makes it so much more meaningful for students. And that's what students remember. So back to John Dewey. We must teach today's students today. And I just want to thank KVEC for this opportunity.